The arrest of a Palestinian activist who helped organize campus protests of the Gaza war has left many with questions about whether foreign students and green card holders are protected from being deported. Mahmoud Khalil was arrested over the weekend by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The Department of Homeland Security says Khalil was taken into custody as a result of President Trump's executive orders that prohibit anti-Semitism for the planning of the Gaza war protests that you see there on your screen at Columbia University. The president has said protesters forfeit their rights to remain in the U.S. by supporting the Hamas terror organization or really any terror group. Want to pop up this post here from the White House coming in as they say, quote, "This is the first arrest of many to come. We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who have engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity, and the Trump admin will not tolerate it." You can see the photo of Khalil there on the left-hand side of your screen. I do want to discuss all of this, so let's bring in David May, economic warfare analyst and research manager at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning and help discuss this further.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, first off, I do want to ask you what message overall, and it may be kind of a basic question, but what message is President Trump's administration trying to send by not just putting out that tweet right there, but this arrest in general?
Well, for at least a year, the United States government wasn't really doing enough to protect its Jewish students. On campuses, the anti-Semitism was running rampant. Jewish students were feeling harassed. Many times they were physically harassed. And in general, there was a culture, a campus climate of hostility towards Jews. So this is a message, a strong message, that there will be consequences, because so long as there's no consequences for the actions, for the harassment, for taking over college campuses and preventing Jewish students and all other students from attending their classes, so long as there were no consequences, the protesters felt not only entitled but emboldened to escalate their actions.
What other methods might the Trump administration be using at this moment or in the future?
They've started with this arrest. There have been the withholding of funds, of federal funds, for universities that are receiving federal funding. There have been Department of Education investigations into universities that are found to not be enforcing their rules to protect their students, to protect their Jewish students. And so the key here is to enforce the laws that we have in place, the anti-discrimination laws that we have that are intended to allow all students, Jews, non-Jews, to attend their universities and not to be discriminated against.
Is the Trump administration trying to send a message with the arrest of Khalil? Again, I'm popping this up here on your screen. The White House putting out that post here. Are they trying to make an example of him?
He wasn't just a regular student involved. He was one of the leaders, as far as the reporting has shown. So he is an agitator who is leading these demonstrations. So it's very important to show the leadership that their actions will have consequences. On top of that, if he is a green card holder, then there are certain different measures, different expectations of their participation, of their continued stay in the United States, and supporting terrorism would probably be a violation of that. So really, it's enforcing the laws and making sure that there are consequences for their harassment and anything that includes crimes or the support of terrorism.
I do want to make an important distinction, and I'm hoping you can help with this, because there's a difference between the protesters who are just peacefully protesting there versus ones who are taking over campus buildings, lighting things on fire, and preventing Jewish students from going to class.
Yeah, so the right to protest, free speech, all those are cores of American values. And I think the key here is that we are enforcing American values and the rule of law. These protesters were violating the rule of law. They were trying to rule by mob rule instead of allowing students to attend their classes. And so the key here is for the United States to show that we're a country of law and a country of order and justice. And so some of the protesters, they can express very abhorrent beliefs But so long as they are not violating anyone else's rights, and so long as they're not committing crimes, they're entitled to, so long as those university administrations allow it. But there were crimes committed. There were people who were held hostage by the Columbia students. There were students prevented from attending their classes. And so there's a big difference between those who are expressing their free speech rights and those who are discriminating and harassing others.
All right. David May, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help discuss the topic further. Of course, it is something that so many people are discussing right now, so we appreciate your expertise in joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.